Hi folks, this is just a quick video to show you some of the accessories I've added to my NC since I first bought it. So starting with what I added to the bike from new, I added the heated grips here, the Oxford heated grips. They work really well. The handguards, which I think are Honda handguards. I did go for an aftermarket set at first, but they didn't have any in stock, so they gave me these ones for the same price, which was nice of them. I added a 12-volt socket inside the front there, which is really handy for when you're doing those long journeys or any sort of tour. It's great for charging your phone and things like that. Right, I added the rack and top box, which originally I had a 32 litre top box on there. I might add a picture of that if I can, but I found that on the longer journeys it was still quite tight to fit everything in, even with the storage at the front as well. So I bought this one a little bit later on. But I kept the 32 litre one because I found that with the curved back of the 32 litre one, it just gives you maybe 3-4 more inches, which is handy when you have a passenger because it stops them sort of pushing all their weight onto you, which in turn pushes you onto the front there. I added a fender extender at the front here. That was actually the first job I did, and it is definitely worth doing. If I can, I'll add a couple of pictures of mine and my friend's bike when we took a trip to Scotland, and I'll show you the difference between what flicked up onto my radiator there and what flicked up onto his, and it shows you what a difference it does make. I also added this mud guard at the back, which I think looks great, but I don't know how much of a good job it does. We've had a bit of wet weather the last couple of days, and you can see here it doesn't really stop all that rain and muck covering your bike, and specifically covering the rear shock there, if you can see that. So I might have to do something about that. Talking about the rear shock, that's a Nitron rear shock that I added. It was quite a lot of money, but I'll be honest, I do think it was worth it. It makes a big difference to the bike. Not so much with the handling, I don't really throw the bike around, but certainly with the comfort level, I don't get the achy back on the bumpy roads that I used to with the standard shock. I also upgraded the springs on the front as well, but for the life of me I can't remember what make they were, so if I can find out later I'll add it to the video at a later date. I added a taller screen and aftermarket deflector, which is a huge improvement over the standard screen, and now I can ride at motorway speeds with the visor up easy and not have to worry about the wind blowing in my eyes and face, so that was definitely a welcome addition. Two things that weren't very good though is, for starters, this aftermarket screen here was a cheap, I think, Chinese one off of eBay, was working great until these adjusters here snapped on the move, so I've had to cable tie them into place. I don't know if you can see that. So it's set the way I like it, which is handy, but it means that you can't move it, which is a bit of a problem because sometimes at night time, or if there's a lot of rain, it can collect on this screen and make it quite difficult to see through it. So it's not ideal. It's not a problem, I can see over it if need be, but ideally I would like to buy another one that I can adjust so I can keep it there when I want it, and then when the weather's not too great I can move it accordingly. Another thing which I didn't anticipate was that this screen would not fit with these handguards, which I didn't realise at the time when I bought it. So luckily, with the aid of my trusty Dremel, I managed to get a bit of this off here, and now it fits, which is nice. I also added the Shad comfort seat, which is a great improvement on the original, but the only thing I don't like about it is people often go on about the slope of the original seat, which I didn't really find a problem. I didn't really notice it, but it's very noticeable in this. So although it is a lot softer and a lot more padded and a lot more comfortable, you do notice the slope more, so it doesn't take away from that. I'm thinking about buying an aftermarket seat which might be able to do away with that slope. So if anyone's got any suggestions, or if anybody's got an aftermarket seat which has improved that, please let me know, and I might be looking to buy one myself. I added the SW Motec handlebar risers, you can see them there, which just gives it a bit more of an upright riding position, which is definitely beneficial for the longer journeys. It feels much more comfortable now, takes the pressure off your back a little bit. I added the Denali sound bomb, I think I'm saying that right, which is a brilliant addition. I would recommend that to anybody who owns this bike, or any bike, for the first accessory to buy. It makes a big difference. Let's turn this on. So that's much improved over the standard one. Definitely recommend buying one of them. What else is there? Oh, the center stand, obviously, as you can see, which is brilliant for adjusting the chain or lubing the chain. And I think that's it. So yeah, I think that's it. If anybody else has any ideas of what I could add to the bike to improve it, I'm all ears. Just leave me a comment below. Or if you've got any questions about anything I have added, just ask and I'll try and answer it as best I can. Oh, SW Motec footrest. These are brilliant. They're adjustable. I think I've adjusted them to, I believe it's 1 inch lower than standard, which I don't really notice because I find that even though they are lower, because they're so much thicker than the standard, I think they sit about the same, to be honest. I can't say I noticed any difference, but they're definitely more comfortable, again, for the longer journeys. I found with the standard ones, they were so thin that after a few hours, they used to dig into the arch of my feet. It used to make my feet ache. But with these, it's such an improvement. Again, a little bit expensive, but I would recommend them. And now I think that really is it. Oh, obviously the bracket for the sat nav, which I've placed here. A few people have criticised because they think that it gets in the way of this screen, but I can't say that when I'm on the move I've noticed it. I think where you sit, you can still see the entire layout, and to be honest, I prefer having it here out of my eye line than up here like some people do. Personal preference, but I think for the most part when you're on the long journeys you don't need to be looking at it all the time, so I find it much better there, but each their own, I guess. And now that's it.
Young Dave Rose says, like and subscribe.
Thanks.